Well, as you know, there is a war against Christians in the public square in Canada. Christians are being driven out, and it's not even in some sort of hidden form of discrimination. Officials all over Canada don't hide it. They're brazen about it. Let me give you an example. There is an organization called Voices of the Nations, and every year they like to have a Christian concert in Yonge and Dundas Square, a big public square in downtown Toronto, sort of our Canadian answer to Times Square. As you can see, it's the kind of venue that has lots of festivals and songs. This is what Voices of the Nations was like in years past. An amazing event, a public event with a Christian theme. There have been other themes in that same place by other groups, marijuana activists, gay activists, whatever. This was a Christian event. Well, this year, when Voices of the Nations applied for their permit for this year's concert, well, this is what they were told. I'm now going to play for you an audio recording of a phone call in which Voices of the Nations were told, no, you may not get your permit. Listen.
Okay, well, I've already advised Peter that we're not going to be permitting you guys this year for next year because of the proselytizing on the square. And that's a big issue for us. I know that in the past years we've had discussions with you, or at least my predecessor did.
Oh, really?
Had meetings with Peter with Peter with regards to the proselytizing, and outlined very specifically what was allowed and what is not allowed on the square, and that was not adhered to this year.
Oh, Natalie, sorry, just to clarify, did we prophesize this year at the event?
Yes.
We did?
Yes. Your performers did.
One of the performers did? Okay, in terms of prophesizing, what do you mean? Like, do we mean like speaking, like, or just singing? Or...
Well, it doesn't matter if it's speaking or it's singing. Either way, if you're praising Jesus and praise the Lord and there's no God like Jehovah, that type of thing, that's proselytizing. And given that, I think that you guys should be looking for a different venue because that's not in line with our policies.
Okay, so are you saying that, is this definite or
No, this is definite. This is done.
So it's definite.
You guys were given warnings after last year and spoken to, and nothing changed. And you were spoken to on site and weren't willing to make any changes during the proselytizing. So no, we can't risk putting you back up on stage again.
Can you imagine that? That's a government bureaucrat saying, we can't risk having you sing a song about Jesus in a public square. I should tell you, I visit Yonge and Dundas Square from time to time. There is a permanent Muslim kiosk with the only purpose of proselytizing. They give out Qurans. They try to convert people to Islam. Yonge and Dundas Square's management, which is under the authority of the City of Toronto, has never kicked them out. This Christian choir, which you saw look like so much fun, they were denied explicitly because they mentioned Jesus. Well, this is where pro-Christian, pro-freedom of speech lawyers join the fray. And joining me now via Skype is a lawyer who we helped fundraise. And when I say we, I mean you, our viewers, helped crowdfund. It's Marty Moore of the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Marty, thanks for joining us today.
Good to be with you, Ezra.
Well, you have been fighting this along with John Carpay, our friend from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Our viewers helped chip in some bucks to help cover your fees. And today you bring good news, finally. The city has blinked. Can you give us a report on how it happened and what happened?
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you for your support. And we have excellent news yesterday. The Yonge and Dundas Board of Management reversed that decision that you just referenced to prohibit Voice of the Nations from using Yonge and Dundas Square, and instead has ordered that a permit be granted to Voices of the Nations to use Yonge and Dundas Square for their annual Christian concert on August 6, 2016.
Well, that's great. So I remember when this first started, I think we had John on the show, or maybe it was you, Marty. It looked like the city was digging in. This Natalie Bellman that we heard the audio tape of, she was very resistant, and she was digging in her heels. And this became a bit of a kerfuffle, a tug of war. How did it resolve itself? Was it the threat of litigation? Did grown-ups intervene? Did the mayor intervene? How did you get that obstinate anti-Christian bigot? I'm going to call her a bigot because she was anti-Christian. How did you get them to flip?
Well, the Justice Center became involved at an early stage and immediately sent a letter to the Yonge and Dundas Board of Management explaining that this interpretation of a policy against proselytizing cannot be used to justify violating the constitutional freedom that applies there in Yonge and Dundas Square.
By the way, we're showing some footage on the screen right now of past Voices of the Nations events. First of all, it looks super fun. Second of all, the music looks great. Third of all, Voices of the Nations, I think that's appropriate. It looks very multicultural. I mean, this should be something that, you know, Toronto should love. It's a festival, it's positive, it's happy, there's positive moral values, and it's diverse, it's multi-ethnic. I mean, it's so amazing to me that they would say to all these beautiful young people enjoying music, no, you can't be in the square because you say Jesus, and for some reason, for the city of Toronto, that's a four-letter word. That's just incredible to me that they would pick on Voice of the Nations. Congratulations for you for pushing them back. I got to ask you, though, you heard Natalie Bellman in the recording there. She was saying you can't say Jesus, you can't say pray the Lord. She was very specific. Please tell me that Voices of the Nations did not agree to black out those words. Was that part of the deal in any way?
Not at all. No, Voices of the Nations, and it's pleased to announce that the City of Toronto has respected and in our discussions has recognized the Voices of the Nations have the freedom to express and celebrate their beliefs, to celebrate and praise Jesus for sure. And so this concert's going to go ahead with their freedom to have this event as they intend.
Well, that's great, Marty. I'm not Christian myself. I'm Jewish, but that looks like so much fun. And I like gospel music. I mean, you don't have to be Christian to just love it from an entertainment point of view, and even from a spiritual point of view. I don't even think you have to be Christian to enjoy the kind of joyous noise that is obviously going on there. I'm going to make it a point to attend as a member of the audience, and I think we're going to send coverage in the form of news cameras too. Here's my worry, Marty. This is not the first time we have fought for religious freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of association in Yonge and Dundas Square. I worked with another lawyer in the past named Sonia Schickman to defend a black preacher, and his name is Reverend David Lynn. And you might recall Reverend Lynn. Here's a picture of him. You can see he's just sort of one guy who would sing Christian songs. And you see a cop walking up to him now saying, turn that off. And the cop made him turn off his speaker and gave him a ticket and seized his audio equipment and charged him with illegal offense. You see this? I think there were 4 cops that went after David Lynn. He's a Christian reverend. That's at same Yonge and Dundas Square. So we hired a lawyer named Sonia Schickman who fought the charges and got him beat. And now you, Marty, had to fight Yonge and Dundas Square management on behalf of Voice of the Nations. My point, Marty, is this is like that carnival game, whack-a-mole. You know, you hit a mole here, then one pops up there. This is a never-ending fight because the people who want to drive Christianity out of the public square, whether it's one black Christian gospel preacher, whether it's Voice of the Nations, they are relentless. And I think we have to fight them every time. Now, I'm delighted that in both the case of Reverend Lynn and Voice of the Nations, we have a win. But we can't let our guard down, can we, Marty?
No, the cost of a freedom is eternal vigilance, and the Justice Center is involved in cases across Canada protecting the freedom of expression in the public square of many different groups.
I know that this battle is over, but the war is not. So I want to invite all our viewers. I spoke to John this morning, and I said, John, do you need help paying for this Voice of the Nations fight? He said, Ezra, no, that fight's over, but other fights are ongoing, whether it's Trinity Western, University of Toronto that we talked about the other week, or he's out in Vancouver today. So I said, John, I'm going to ask our viewers, I'm going to see if we can raise $2,500 to cut a check to the Justice Center Constitutional Freedoms. This fight is paid for from the sounds of what John said, but there are other fights ongoing. And I have to tell you, I predict this will not be the last time that Yonge and Dundas Square itself tries to censor Christians. So folks, I'm not even Christian. I believe in free speech for Christians, for Jews, whatever. That's the way it is in Canada. It's our constitutional freedom. If you support freedom of speech and freedom of religion, if you want to stop this war on Christians, and if you want to help Marty and John Carpe, then go to antichristian.ca. That's a website we set up because these folks are anti-Christian. You don't see them banning Jewish concerts or Muslim concerts or gay rights or marijuana activism concerts. You see them picking on Christians. So please go to antichristian.ca and let's see if we can get $2,500 to keep these guys fighting. Last word to you, Marty.
Well, we appreciate the support of many Canadians across the country who are concerned and excited about defending the free society that we have. And we appreciate the voluntary donations that we receive. So thank you very much.
Right on. You keep fighting for freedom. I know you will. It's what you do.